if you want to snowboard, that's your thing. I don't have a problem with that. I think, you can just as easily get hurt, like I said, walking up the stairs. So, I mean, what was the baseball player that sneezed and slipped a disc in his back? I mean, that sort of thing can happen. And, no, I don't lose sympathy for the guy. I think, again, watching that press conference a second and third time, because it just was played to death, I think the guy had some mental hurdles. I don't want to say issues because I don't know him, but he had some mental hurdles to get over. And I wish him the best. And as you said, they've moved on as a team. And Brissett is a leader, despite listen. Let's be honest. He's missed some throws, right? I mean, he's missed like wide open guys. So I mean, what's awesome here is here's a guy, and I'm going to say this is like my hot take, and I don't mean this disrespectfully at all. But here's a guy that I don't think is playing that particularly well. He's playing fine, don't get me wrong, but he's not playing to like an Andrew Luck level. But all that being said, this team has like rallied behind this guy. I mean, he is the leader of this team. So you can't make up for that in any statistical category. I mean, who cares if you throw a miserable interception when the team is picking you up right after it's done and they're behind you, and that offensive line is beyond gelled together. They may have the best running back in football. I mean, that might be some hyperbole, but I mean, in other words, I guess what I'm trying to say with going a long way around it, Jacoby Brissett doesn't have to be Andrew Luck. And
right.
That's fine.
No, we wouldn't.
He can play like he's playing right now, and they're going to win a lot of games. And I truthfully feel like this is almost like him going through his first year of starting. I know he started a lot of games in the NFL, but this is like his first, or if you want to, maybe his second year starting. So he's still a young quarterback in the NFL, and he's only going to get better. And I think that's what the exciting thing is.
We're talking with Matthew. We're talking with Matthew Hicks. Matthew, thanks so much for joining us. Matthew helps us play the home of card. We're located here in Indianapolis, right atop the Balance Studios in the west suburbs of Indianapolis. Matthew, I think I could get out my backyard and yell at you and wave at you. You could close to me.
I think that's right, actually.
So let's talk a little bit about the Pacers, but I want to take some time for us both to do the hot take here, because we go into the preseason. The Pacers are fun to watch. We just want to watch some hoopage, and I was listening to J&B, and I'm friends with him too, and he's just like, let's just knock the political BS out, but we got to talk about this because everybody's talking about it. I think the NBA bent over and took one from the hot take here is not a good look. Not a good look from the NBA and what they did. I mean, you talk about all these woke people. You got LeBron James and his Taco Tuesday. You got these people that won't go to the White House. All this, and one person says, hey, why don't we start looking at what China does, what they do to human rights, what they are as a country. And, oh, my God, no. Why? Because Nike is in bed with China. Millions of dollars come from China to Nike, and millions and billions of dollars come from Nike to the NBA. So what they do? Shut up and dribble. But when you say shut up and dribble, Matthew, that's exactly what they did.
You're right.
Go ahead.
You're right, but this is a tough situation for the NBA. That was what's a shame for them is you're right. You saw a little bit of true nature, I think, come out there, because yes, you're right. They're very vocal and political, which I'm all for. I think that's fine. This is America. That's great. This is an American-based business, and that's fantastic. But they should have known that what was going to happen happened. And I wish they would have stood upon their principles rather than try to cash grab anything they could get back, because it sounds like this is going to take a long time to fix from a business standpoint. Now, I'm not speaking politically here. I'm talking about from a business standpoint.
Yes.
There's a lot of money in China for the NBA, and right now that money is not there. It's gone. Now, I think over time that will be repaired So it's a shame that they couldn't allow their players and coaches and general managers and everybody else. I don't know if there was a memo that went out to say, hey, don't comment on China. It appears that there was. I don't know if that was a public thing or not. I really haven't heard either way. I assume it was at this point because of Steve Kerr's comments. But it's a shame that they weren't allowed to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
let's talk about Steve Kerr.
They weren't allowed to speak on it because the money was gone once the tweet from David Morway was sent out. The money was gone. I mean, it was at that point over with. So it's a shame they weren't able to speak their minds, but they tried to get as much cash back as they could, and that doesn't appear it's going to happen. And let's talk real world, real NBA sports sides of this. They've already sent a memo out to their team saying the salary cap is now going to go down next year, or not increase nearly as much as they expected it to. So that's going to cause free agency to look vastly different for these teams next season. So that it is. I mean, it's, from a business standpoint, these things have consequences.
Well, here's the thing, and first of all, talk about Steve Kerr. Let's not buy 1 minute that he didn't have enough information on the subject, because that's total BS. I mean, here's the thing, and again, not going political, but unfortunately, in the world that we're in today, political and sports they collide, and they've collided many times here on this side of the country, in our world, in our country, because we have something called freedom of speech. Well, what do you think it would be like if the U.S. government said, you know what, you can no longer broadcast Colts games or Pacers games or NBA. You know what? We're going to control who you talk to, what you talk about, and that's what the government says. We take so much advantage of being free citizens in the United States of America, and we take so much advantage of enjoying the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, everything that we enjoy under the laws of our Constitution is given to us by our forefathers in our country. For the NBA to just say, basically give the bird to the United States and say, hey, money's more important. Because remember when Laura Ingraham said about LeBron James, I think it was LeBron James, said just shut up and dribble. Stay in your lane. And there was all kinds of controversy. There was all kinds of BS. It blew up to like mega proportions because all she said was shut up and dribble. China says to the NBA, shut up and dribble. And they said, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. To a communist dictator. It does not look good.
Yeah, it's not a good look. And it's going to have, again, not to get, I just don't care to get political, but
me either. But it's just unfortunate that it is.
It's going to have real. The result of all of this and the loss of money from China is going to have real implications for the NBA. So no, it's a shame.
Well, let's move on to some fun topics. The Pacers and the Bulls. The Pacers won last night against the Bulls. It's unfortunate that the Pacers are caught up in some of this because none of them had anything to do with it, but yet they're being questioned about it. But let's talk about the Pacers moving forward into 2019, 2020, fun season. And let's just maybe we'll have Owen Depot back. I think we will. I think this is just going to be a good season. I think we have a very good shot, even though it might be an outside shot, of winning the Eastern Division and maybe even get to the finals.
I think that some things broke their way. I think there's a lot of questions with every team except Milwaukee, right? Milwaukee, the only question they probably have at this point is depth, because they lose their sixth man, who's now our starting point guard. The Pacers starting point guard. So I think there's some not issues. They're still really good. There might be some questions there, though. The question is how good Boston is going to be. I think very, but we don't know that. What is Toronto going to look like without Kawhi Leonard? I think they're still pretty darn good, is the reality. The Pacers, I think, will be as good as last year's record, but they may be a better team headed into the playoffs. It all depends win-losses wise, how quickly Oladipo gets back, which we've heard anything from late November to January, February. So who knows when he's going to play. But then the next question is, how quickly can he get reintegrated, and in basketball? He seems like he's in basketball shape right now. So I don't think that part of it's going to be an issue. But just reintegrated into this team and Jeremy Lamb going back to the bench and becoming a sixth man. Edmund Sumner looks like he's going to get consistent minutes. That's going to be exciting to watch a young player get those minutes. Can the Sabonis-Turner experiment in the starting lineup work? I, by the way, think it can. I think it's going to be fine. So there's a lot of questions with those top-tier East teams. And then let's not forget Philadelphia. They're really good. They're really good.
They are.
And I think other teams –
because they trusted the process.
They did. What a miserable time that must have been. But, yeah, I think the Pacers have one of those rare years where, if they finish second in the East, let me say that. If they finish second in the East, that would shock me. But anywhere from third through sixth would not surprise me a bit just because of where they're going to be. But I could also see them finishing sixth in the East and win their first-round matchup, if that makes any sense, because record-wise maybe they won't have this, gaudy record. But by the time May 1st hits, they're going to be playing, I think, pretty darn well, barring out any injury.
Well, it's going to be exciting to watch them, and it's always fun to go to the Pacers games, and that's for sure. So we'll see what happens. So we're down to the Final Four in the MLB. My Cardinals snuck one out against the Braves, and the Nationals. They're the real deal. And then you've got the Astros and the Yankees. I think a lot of people saw that Astros thing coming. Didn't think it was going to go to Game 5, and the Yankees obviously swept the Twins. Here's something I heard this interesting statistic. Clay Travis was talking about this the other day. 16 consecutive playoff games the Twins have lost to the Yankees. Think about how many times. That's a huge statistic.
Gosh.
You talk about a mind game that's there they can't get past. But either which way, the Twins have lost to the Yankees 16 consecutive times in the playoff series. So real quickly, what are your thoughts on the final MLB Final Four?
Boy, St. Louis is such a good they're one of those teams that remind, and I'm not a Cardinals fan actually by any stretch. I'm a Reds fan. I'm a big Reds fan.
On my show again. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's my last appearance. So seriously though, I think they're one of those teams that you just see so often. They're going to win close to 100 games. What do they win? 93 games. They're such a good team over the long haul, but now they're essentially in a short series now. I know because they dropped Game 1 last night, so they now have to sneak one more win in to make it a best of 5, and I think they'll do that. But what a buzzsaw to go up against Strasburg, Scherzer, Corbin, and then Anibal Sanchez last night was unstoppable. This Nationals team,
unstoppable. You're right.
You just kind of see that whole they were good. Don't get me wrong. You don't win 91 games or 95 games, whatever they won, and not be good. But I don't think anybody saw them as a World Series contender. And they're starting to look like a team of destiny. It looks like they're just. Gosh, it's hard not to find a way for them to get 3 more wins in this series. And then you look at the American League. The Yankees 1 through 9 are so good. I don't know how Houston can shut them down. Houston's pitching is really good, and their lineup is nothing to sneeze at either. And I know they won a few more games than New York did, but this Yankees team, I don't know. I think this Yankees-Nationals World Series could be really good. And you'll have me on in 2 weeks, and we'll be laughing about how I thought there was going to be a Yankees-Nationals World Series, and it's Houston and St. Louis. But regardless, I think
that's right.
if what I see, which is so just so myopic, because I don't watch anybody with the Reds throughout the year. Or
don't
who
use
they
big
play.
words on Saturday morning, Matt.
Okay, but it is tunnel vision for me, But I think that this could be a really good championship series and the World Series, really, no matter who's in it, it's going to be good. But I think that Nationals-Yankees World Series